In the vast emptiness of space, a group of alien explorers moved slowly. Their ship, the Tsar X-42, was the pride of the Galactic Confederation. It was big, shiny, and full of the best technology from 100 different worlds. Captain Zorn, a tall blue-skinned creature with 4 eyes, stood on the bridge. He looked out at the stars, feeling bored. "Another day, another empty sector," he said with a sigh. His crew, made up of 10 different alien species, nodded in agreement. They had been exploring this part of the galaxy for months, finding nothing interesting. Suddenly, a loud beep came from one of the control panels. A small green alien with tentacles for arms rushed to check it. "Captain, we're picking up a strange signal," the alien said, its voice full of excitement. Captain Zorn's 4 eyes widened. "What kind of signal, Glix?" Glix's tentacles danced over the controls. It's not like anything we've seen before. It's coming from that small solar system ahead." The crew's boredom vanished. Everyone leaned forward, eager to see what they had found. "Take us in, slowly," Captain Zorn ordered. The Tsar X-42 changed course, heading towards the source of the mysterious signal. As they entered the solar system, they saw it was unremarkable. A yellow star, a few rocky planets, some gas giants. But as they got closer to the 4th planet, something caught their eye. "Captain, look," shouted the pilot, pointing at the main screen. There, orbiting the red planet, was a massive object. It was clearly artificial, its metal surface reflecting the light of the star. But it wasn't like any spacecraft they had ever seen. "It's huge," whispered Captain Zorn. "Glix, what are our scans saying?" Glix's tentacles were a blur as they worked the sensors. "It's definitely a ship, Captain. But this can't be right. The metal it's made of. Our sensors can't even identify it. And its size, it's at least 10 times bigger than our largest battleships." The crew fell silent, staring at the giant ship on their screens. It was shaped like a long arrow, with strange bulges and protrusions along its surface. Despite its enormous size, it had an elegant, almost beautiful design. "Any signs of life?" Captain Zorn asked. "No, Captain," Glix replied. "The ship appears to be dormant. No energy readings, no movement." Captain Zorn scratched his scaly chin with a clawed hand. "It must be ancient, a relic from some long-dead civilization. Prep a boarding party. We need to see this up close." Soon, a small shuttle left the Tsar X-42, carrying Captain Zorn and 5 of his crew. As they approached the massive ship, its true size became apparent. The shuttle looked like a tiny insect next to it. They found an airlock and managed to open it. Inside, the ship was dark and silent. The alien explorers switched on their lights and began to look around. "Amazing," muttered Zorn as they walked through massive corridors. This ship, it could house an entire civilization. They found their way to what seemed to be the bridge. It was a cavernous room, filled with strange machinery and giant view screens. Everything was covered in a thick layer of dust. "Look at this," called one of the crew members. He was standing in front of a control panel. "There's some kind of symbol here." They all gathered around. Under the dust, they could make out a faded emblem. It showed a blue and green sphere with strange symbols underneath. "I've never seen writing like that before," said Glix. "This ship, it's not from any civilization we know." As they continued to explore, they found more mysteries. Rooms filled with what looked like weapons, but more advanced than anything they had ever seen. Engines that seemed to defy the laws of physics as they understood them. "Whatever built this ship," Captain Zorn said, his voice filled with awe, "they were far more advanced than us, even now." After hours of exploration, they returned to the Tsar X-42. Captain Zorn immediately sent a message to the Galactic Confederation. "We found something incredible," he reported. "A ship of unknown origin, of unbelievable size and technology. We're calling it the Relic. requesting immediate support for further investigation. As the crew of the Tsar X-42 waited for a response, they couldn't help but feel they had stumbled upon something that would change the galaxy forever. Little did they know, the true surprise was yet to come. News of the relic spread quickly across the galaxy. Within days, ships from the most powerful alien civilizations were arriving to see this mysterious discovery. The space around the red planet became crowded with vessels of all shapes and sizes. Among the new arrivals was the Galactic Council's flagship, the Starhammer. It was a massive ship, gleaming with advanced technology. As it approached, the crew of the Tsar X-42 watched in awe. "Look at the size of that thing," whispered Glix, his tentacles quivering with excitement. Captain Zorn nodded. "The most powerful ship in the known galaxy. And yet it's still smaller than the Relic." A transmission came through. "This is High Counselor Vex of the Galactic Confederation. Prepare for our arrival." Soon, a group of important-looking aliens boarded the Tsar X-42. High Counselor Vex, a tall, slender being with silvery skin and no visible eyes, led the group. Behind him were representatives from the top 5 galactic powers. "Show us this Relic," Vex said, his voice cold and emotionless. Captain Zorn led them to the observation deck. As they looked out at the massive human warship, even Vex couldn't hide his surprise. "Impressive," he admitted. "But surely it's just an oversized antique." The Zerulean ambassador, a short, furry creature, laughed. "Indeed. Our scans show no active energy sources. It's nothing but a giant paperweight." The other representatives joined in the laughter. Captain Zorn and his crew exchanged uncomfortable glances. "With all due respect," Zorn said, "we've explored inside. The technology we found is beyond anything we've ever seen." Vex waved a dismissive hand. "Captain, surely you're exaggerating. No dead civilization could be more advanced than us." The group moved to the shuttle bay, preparing to board the Relic. As they flew towards it, the alien leaders continued to mock the discovery. "Look at those primitive weapon emplacements," sneered the Volcrin general, a being made of living crystal. "Our modern shields would laugh them off." "And those engines," added the Quixel scientist, her many eyes blinking rapidly. "So inefficient. It probably took ages to move this behemoth." As they entered the Relic, the alien leaders' attitudes didn't change. They walked through the massive corridors, pointing out what they saw as flaws and outdated designs. "This control system is so basic," the Zerulean ambassador said, running a paw over a dusty console. "My children have toys more complex than this." They reached the bridge, where Captain Zorn had found the strange emblem. The alien leaders gathered around, studying it with curiosity. Mused Vex. "These symbols, they seem vaguely familiar. Computer, run a galaxy-wide search for matching patterns." A few moments passed before the computer responded. "Match found. Symbols correspond to a primitive species known as humans from a backwater planet called Earth." The alien leaders burst into laughter again. "Humans?" The Volcrin general chuckled. "Those primitive apes who haven't even achieved viable space travel yet. I've heard of them," the Quixel scientist said, giggling. "Didn't they just recently discover how to split the atom? How quaint." High Counselor Vex turned to Captain Zorn, his tone condescending. "You see, Captain, this relic is nothing more than a museum piece. These humans must have been somewhat advanced in the distant past, but clearly they've regressed. A evolutionary dead end, if you will." Captain Zorn felt a strange unease. "But the technology we found is clearly not as advanced as you thought," Vex interrupted. "Your lack of experience led you to overestimate its significance. Oh, understandable mistake." The alien leaders continued their tour, their mocking comments echoing through the empty halls of the Relic. They poked and prodded at various systems, laughing at what they saw as primitive design. As they prepared to leave, Vex addressed the group. "Well, this has been an interesting diversion. We'll leave a small research team to study this artifact. Perhaps we can learn something from these long-gone humans. Their failure might serve as a cautionary tale for developing species. The leaders returned to their ships, still chuckling about the primitive human technology. As the Starhammer prepared to depart, Vex sent one last message to Captain Zorn. "Thank you for your discovery, Captain. It's always good to remind ourselves how far we've come. This relic will make a fine addition to our galactic museum." As the alien ships began to disperse, no one noticed a small, blinking light that had just come to life deep within the relic. The human warship wasn't as dead as they thought, and it had been listening to every word. As the grand alien ships departed, leaving only a small research team behind, a new arrival appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was a tiny ship, barely larger than a shuttle, with sleek lines and a distinctive blue and white color scheme. On board the Zar X-42, Glix's sensors beeped urgently. "Captain, we have an unidentified vessel approaching." Captain Zorn, still stinging from the dismissive treatment by the Galactic Council, perked up. "On screen," he ordered. The image of the small ship appeared, and the bridge crew gasped. It was unlike anything they had seen before, both familiar and alien at the same time. "Incoming transmission," Glix announced, surprise evident in his voice. A face appeared on the screen. It was pink-skinned, with fur on top of its head and two eyes. The alien smiled, showing flat white teeth. "Greetings," it said in a calm voice. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth exploration vessel, Curiosity. We come in peace." The bridge of the Zar X-42 fell silent. Captain Zorn's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. You're human?" he asked, incredulity in his voice. Sarah nodded. "That's right. We picked up some unusual activity in this sector and came to investigate. Is everything all right?" Zorn quickly explained about the discovery of the relic. As he spoke, he saw Sarah's eyes widen. "You found one of our old warships?" she asked, leaning forward. "Which class is it?" Glix, recovering from his shock, pulled up the specs. It's over 5 kilometers long, with..." "Ah," Sarah interrupted, a glint in her eye. "Sounds like a Titan-class dreadnought, one of our bigger models." The crew of the Zar X-42 exchanged glances. Bigger models. Sarah continued, "Mind if we come aboard and take a look? It's been a while since we've seen one of those old girls." Still stunned, Captain Zorn agreed. The human ship docked with the Zar X-42, and soon a team of 5 humans stepped onto the alien vessel. They wore simple, form-fitting suits with the same blue and white color scheme as their ship. As Sarah shook hands with Captain Zorn, a gesture that confused the alien greatly, she introduced her team. "This is our engineer, Dr. Patel, our xenobiologist, Dr. Nkomo, our linguist, Dr. Garcia, and our military historian, Colonel Wong." The humans seemed perfectly at ease among the aliens, smiling and nodding politely. They showed no signs of being intimidated by the advanced technology around them. "Shall we head to the relic?" Sarah asked. As they boarded the shuttle to the ancient warship, the humans chatted excitedly among themselves. "I can't believe we found a Titan," Dr. Patel said, his eyes shining. "I wrote my thesis on theoretical applications of their drive systems." Colonel Wong nodded. "I've only seen them in historical records. To actually walk on one." The alien crew listened in growing confusion. These humans spoke of the massive warship as if it was a cherished antique, not an incomprehensible relic. As they entered the relic, the humans immediately spread out, each heading to different systems with purpose. "Power core should be this way," Dr. Patel said, striding confidently down a corridor. "Weapons control will be on the upper deck," Colonel Wong added, already climbing a ladder. Captain Zorn and his crew followed, bewildered. The humans moved through the ship as if they had lived on it their whole lives, easily bypassing security systems that had stymied the alien researchers. In the engine room, Dr. Patel let out a low whistle. "Would you look at that?" he said, running his hand over a massive cylindrical object. "A Mark IV Alcubierre drive. They don't make 'em like this anymore." On the bridge, Sarah sat down at the main control console. Her fingers danced over the controls, and suddenly, lights began to flicker on throughout the ship. What are you doing?" Captain Zorn asked, a note of panic in his voice. Sarah looked up, a small smile on her face. "Just waking her up," she said casually. "It's not good for these old ships to sleep for too long. They get cranky." As if in response, a low hum began to fill the ship. Displays flickered to life, showing information in the strange human writing. Dr. Garcia, who had been examining the ship's records, suddenly called out, "Captain, you might want to see this." Sarah walked over, read the display, and her face grew serious. "Well," she said, turning to the stunned alien crew, "it seems we have a bit of a situation. This old girl wasn't just taking a nap. She was waiting." "Waiting?" Glix asked, his tentacles curling nervously. "Waiting for what?" Sarah's eyes met Captain Zorn's. "For humans to return to this part of the galaxy," she said softly. "And it looks like we arrived just in time." The bridge of the ancient human warship buzzed with activity. The small team of humans moved with purpose, their fingers dancing over control panels, bringing long-dormant systems back to life. Captain Zorn and his alien crew watched in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the ease with which these supposed primitives operated the massive vessel. Dr. Patel's voice crackled over the comm system. "Captain Chen, I've got the power core online. We're at 5% capacity and climbing." Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on a holographic display that had sprung to life before her. "Good work, Patel." "Garcia, what's the status on the ship's eye?" The linguist, her hands flying over a complex interface, replied, "Almost there, Captain. The AI's been in deep sleep mode for centuries. It's like waking up a giant." As if on cue, a deep, resonant hum filled the bridge. The alien crew flinched, but the humans smiled as if greeting an old friend. A booming voice, somehow both mechanical and alive, filled the air. "Systems online. Titan-class dreadnought Prometheus awakening. Greetings, human operators." Sarah stepped forward. "Hello, Prometheus. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth exploration vessel Curiosity. We're here to bring you home." "Acknowledged, Captain Chen," the AI responded. "It has been a long wait." Captain Zorn, finding his voice at last, stepped forward. What is happening? You speak as if this ship is alive." Sarah turned to him, a gentle smile on her face. "In a way, it is. Prometheus is a highly advanced AI, capable of running this entire ship with minimal human input. It's been waiting here, dormant, for humanity to return to this part of the galaxy." Colonel Wong, who had been examining the ship's weapon systems, called out, "Captain, you need to see this. The ship's memory banks. They contain a warning." Sarah frowned. "Put it on the main screen, Colonel." The holographic display flickered, and a video began to play. It showed a human in an old-style uniform, his face grim. "This is Admiral Zhang of the United Earth Fleet," the recording began. "If you're seeing this, it means humanity has finally returned to the Orion Arm. The Prometheus was left here as a sentinel and a safeguard. We detected a grave threat approaching from the galactic core, one that could annihilate all life in its path. We couldn't stay to fight it ourselves. Our resources were needed elsewhere, but we couldn't leave this sector undefended. The Prometheus was tasked with standing guard, waiting for the day when humanity would return to face this threat." The alien crew listened in growing horror as Admiral Zhang detailed the nature of the threat. A swarm of planet-eating nanomachines that had already consumed several star systems. As the message ended, silence fell over the bridge. It was broken by the voice of Prometheus. "Captain Chen, my long-range sensors are detecting anomalies consistent with Admiral Zhang's warning. The threat appears to be approaching the edge of this solar system. Sarah's face hardened with determination. How long do we have? Prometheus. At current speeds, the swarm will reach this system in approximately 72 hours. Captain Zorn, his 4 eyes wide with fear, turned to Sarah. You can't possibly think of facing this threat. We must warn the Galactic Confederation. We must evacuate. Sarah met his gaze steadily. Captain Zorn, evacuation is certainly an option for your people, and we'll help in any way we can, but we can't run. This threat won't stop here. If we don't make a stand now, countless worlds could be lost. She turned back to her crew. Patel, I want full power to all systems in 24 hours. Wong, run a complete diagnostic on the weapons array. Garcia, work with Prometheus to update its language databases. We'll need to communicate clearly with any alien reinforcements. Nkomo, analyze everything we have on these nanomachines. Find a weakness. As the humans rushed to their tasks, Captain Zorn watched in amazement. These creatures, whom his people had dismissed as primitive, were preparing to face a threat that terrified even the Galactic Confederation. Sarah turned back to him, her eyes soft but determined. Captain Zorn, we'll need your help. Your ship, your knowledge of this sector, it could make all the difference. Zorn looked at his crew, saw the mix of fear and awe on their faces. Then he straightened, making a decision. We will help however we can, Captain Chen. But do you truly believe we can stop this threat? Sarah's lips curved in a small, confident smile. Captain, humanity has faced impossible odds before. It's kind of our specialty. Now, let's wake this old giant up properly and show the galaxy what humans can really do. As if in response, the lights on the bridge grew brighter, and the hum of the ship's systems increased. The Prometheus was awakening, and with it, a new chapter in galactic history was about to unfold. The next 48 hours aboard the Prometheus were a whirlwind of activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, preparing the ancient warship for the coming battle. The ship's massive halls, once silent and dusty, now echoed with the sounds of machinery and urgent voices. In the engine room, Dr. Patel worked tirelessly, his hands moving with practiced ease over systems that had been theoretical to him just days ago. "Come on, old girl," he muttered, coaxing the power levels higher. "Show us what you can do." Suddenly, the ship hummed louder, and the lights brightened noticeably. Patel's eyes widened as he checked the readings. "Captain," he shouted into his comm, "we've just jumped to 75% power capacity." On the bridge, Sarah nodded with satisfaction. "Good work, Patel." "Prometheus, status report." The AI's calm voice filled the air. "All systems are approaching optimal functionality, Captain. Weapons are at 80% capacity. Shields are fully operational. Faster-than-light drive is primed and ready." Captain Zorn, who had been coordinating with his own ship, looked up in awe. "Faster than light? But that's impossible with a ship this size." Sarah gave him a small smile. "There's a lot about human technology that might surprise you, Captain Zorn." Just then, Colonel Wong's voice came over the comm. "Captain, you need to see this. I'm in the main weapon control room." Sarah and Zorn made their way to the weapon control room, a vast chamber filled with holographic displays and control panels. Wong stood before a massive screen, his face grim. "I finished the weapons diagnostic," he said as they entered. "This ship, it's not just a defensive platform. It's a planet killer." He brought up a schematic of the Prometheus. The main cannon runs the entire length of the ship. When fully charged, it can deliver a blast powerful enough to shatter a small moon. Captain Zorn stumbled back, his 4 eyes wide with shock. "By the galactic core," he whispered. "Your people built this." Sarah's face was solemn. "We built it hoping we'd never have to use it, but against a swarm of nanomachines consuming entire planets." She was interrupted by an urgent call from the bridge. "Captain, the swarm has entered the system. They'll reach us in less than an hour." Sarah's voice was steady as she gave orders. "All hands to battle stations. Zorn, get your ship to a safe distance. We'll handle this. As they rushed back to the bridge, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Prometheus came alive, weapon systems powering up, shields humming to full strength. Through the main viewport, they could see it. A dark cloud approaching, consuming asteroids and small planetoids in its path. The nanomachine swarm had arrived. Prometheus, Sarah called out, begin charging the main cannon. The ship shuddered as power began to build. Outside, smaller alien ships that had come to investigate scattered in panic, awed by the display of power from the once dormant Relic. Swarm entering weapons range in 30 seconds, Prometheus announced. Sarah stood tall, her eyes fixed on the approaching threat. On my mark, fire all secondary weapons. Let's thin them out before we use the big gun. The tension on the bridge was palpable. Captain Zorn and his crew watched in a mix of fear and anticipation. Firing solution locked, Prometheus reported. Ready on your command, Captain. Sarah took a deep breath. Fire. The Prometheus roared to life. Beams of energy and volleys of missiles erupted from the massive ship, tearing into the approaching swarm. The nanomachines, for all their destructive power, had never faced anything like this before. Explosions lit up space as the swarm was torn apart, but still, it kept coming, adapting, trying to overwhelm the lone defender. Main cannon at 90% charge, Prometheus announced. Swarm has lost 40% of its mass, but is still approaching. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Prepare for point-blank range firing of the main cannon. We'll hit them with everything we've got. As the swarm engulfed the Prometheus, the ship's shields flared brilliantly, holding back the tide of destruction. The aliens watched in awe as the human warship stood firm against a force that would have annihilated their most powerful vessels. Main cannon fully charged, Prometheus declared. Sarah's voice rang out, clear and determined. Fire. A blinding beam of energy erupted from the Prometheus, so powerful it seemed to distort space itself. It tore through the heart of the swarm, vaporizing nanomachines by the trillions. For a moment, everything was silent and still. Then, slowly, the remnants of the swarm began to disintegrate, their collective intelligence shattered by the overwhelming assault. As the light faded, the bridge crew blinked in astonishment. Where once there had been a planet-eating swarm, now there was nothing but scattered debris. Captain Zorn's voice was barely a whisper. You did it. You actually did it. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. We did it, Captain. All of us together. As the Prometheus powered down its weapons, messages began pouring in from across the sector. The Galactic Confederation, once dismissive of the human relic, now clamored for explanations and audiences. The age of human obscurity in the galaxy was over. The relic had roared, and the galaxy would never be the same again. In the days following the battle, the Prometheus became the center of attention for the entire galaxy. Ships from every major alien civilization arrived, filling the space around the solar system. They came to see the ship that had single-handedly defeated a threat that had terrified even the most powerful races. On board the Prometheus, Captain Sarah Chen stood before a gathering of the galaxy's most influential leaders. The ship's massive conference room was packed with beings of all shapes and sizes, from the towering crystalline Volcrins to the tiny, hovering Quixels. High Counselor Vex, who had once dismissed the Prometheus as a useless relic, now looked at Sarah with a mix of awe and unease. Captain Chen, he began, his voice carefully controlled. On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I must express our gratitude for your intervention. But we have many questions. Sarah nodded, her posture relaxed, but her eyes sharp. I understand, Counselor. We're here to answer them. The Zrulian ambassador, his fur bristling with excitement, spoke up. How is it possible that your people possess such advanced technology? Our records show humans as a primitive planet-bound species. A small smile played on Sarah's lips. Those records are outdated, Ambassador. Humanity has been spacefaring for centuries. We simply chose not to announce our presence to the wider galaxy until we felt ready. Murmurs of disbelief and shock ran through the crowd. Captain Zorn, standing to the side with his crew, couldn't help but feel a mix of admiration and fear. The Volcran general's crystal body chimed as he spoke. But why hide? With your level of technology, you could have dominated the galaxy. Dr. Nkomo, the xenobiologist, stepped forward. That's precisely why we didn't reveal ourselves, she explained. Humanity has a complicated history. We've seen the damage that can be done when advanced technology falls into unprepared hands. Even our own. We wanted to ensure we had the wisdom to use our power responsibly before we stepped onto the galactic stage. The Quixel scientists' many eyes blinked rapidly. But the level of advancement, it's beyond anything we've seen. How did you achieve this? Dr. Petal grinned. Good old human ingenuity, plus a healthy dose of determination. When humans set our minds to something, we tend to go all out. Colonel Wong added. And let's not forget the pressure of necessity. We faced many challenges on our journey to the stars. Each one pushed us to innovate, to find solutions where none seemed possible. The alien leaders listened, their earlier arrogance replaced by a growing respect and curiosity. Sarah continued, the Prometheus is just one example of what humanity can do. We have colonies across multiple star systems, ships that can cross the galaxy in days, and technology that some might consider, well, almost magical. High Counselor Vex leaned forward. And what are your intentions now, Captain Chen? Now that the galaxy knows of your true capabilities. Sarah's face grew serious. Our intention, Counselor, is the same as it's always been, to explore, to learn, and to protect. The threat we faced here isn't the only danger lurking in the dark spaces between stars. We believe that by working together, sharing our knowledge and strengths, we can make the galaxy a safer place for all sentient life. She gestured to the diverse crowd before her. Each of your civilizations has its own unique insights and abilities. Combined with humanity's technology and determination, think of what we could achieve. The conference room buzzed with excited conversation. The idea of collaboration with these mysterious, powerful humans sparked imagination and hope in many. Captain Zorn stepped forward, his voice filled with newfound respect. I have seen these humans in action, he declared. They faced a threat that would have sent most of us running. And they did it to protect not just themselves, but all of us. I, for one, welcome the chance to work alongside them. As agreements were made and plans for future cooperation began to form, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had hidden in the shadows for so long, working and preparing. Now, finally, they were ready to step into the light, to show their true face to the galaxy. The age of human isolation was over. A new era of galactic cooperation was beginning, with humanity ready to take its place as a guardian and guide for the younger races. The future, once uncertain, now shone bright with possibility. As the meeting concluded, Sarah looked out at the stars through the Prometheus's viewport. Well, old girl, she murmured to the ship, looks like our long wait is finally over. The real adventure is just beginning. 1 year had passed since the day the Prometheus roared to life and changed the galaxy forever. The solar system that had once been a forgotten corner of space now bustled with activity. Ships of all sizes and designs moved between newly constructed space stations, their hulls bearing the emblems of a dozen different alien races alongside the striking blue and white of Earth. At the center of it all, the Prometheus floated majestically, no longer a dormant relic, but a symbol of a new era. On the bridge of the massive warship, Captain Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display, surrounded by a diverse crew of humans and aliens. Her eyes scanned the latest reports from across the galaxy. Status update. Prometheus, she called out. The AI's voice filled the bridge, warm and confident. All systems nominal, Captain. The new galactic defense network is operating at 98% efficiency. No signs of any planet-eating swarms or other major threats detected. Sarah nodded, a small smile on her face. Excellent. And our diplomatic efforts? This time, it was Dr. Garcia who answered, her face appearing on a nearby screen. Progress continues to be positive, Captain. The Galactic Confederation has officially ratified the Treaty of Cooperation. Humanity is now recognized as a full member and key strategic partner. Not bad for a bunch of primitive apes, Colonel Long chuckled from his station, remembering the dismissive words of the alien leaders just a year ago. The bridge crew laughed, the sound a mix of human and alien voices blending in harmony. A notification chimed, and a new face appeared on the main screen. The four-eyed visage of Captain Zorn. "Greetings, Prometheus," he said, his voice warm. "The Tsar X-42 is ready to depart on our joint exploration mission to the galactic core." Sarah grinned. "Excellent timing, Zorn. We were just reviewing our progress. How does it feel to be embarking on the most ambitious exploration mission in galactic history?" Zorn's eyes crinkled in what Sarah had learned was a smile. Excited and a little nervous, to be honest. But with human and alien crews working together, I believe we're ready for anything the universe might throw at us. As they chatted, finalizing the details of the mission, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at how much had changed. A year ago, humans were thought to be primitive newcomers to the galactic stage. Now, they were leading the charge into the unknown, their advanced technology and unique perspective opening up new possibilities for all sentient species. The conference room, once the site of tense negotiations, had been transformed into a hub of interstellar cooperation. Holographic displays showed joint research projects, cultural exchange programs, and plans for shared colonies on distant worlds. Dr. Patel's voice came over the comm. "Captain, you might want to see this. We're ready to test the new faster-than-light drive." Sarah excused herself from the conversation with Zorn and made her way to the engine room. There, she found Patil working alongside a team of alien engineers, their different anatomies and backgrounds no barrier to their shared passion for pushing the boundaries of science. "All right, Doc," Sarah said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Show me what you've got." Patil grinned and began the initiation sequence. The ship hummed with power, and through the viewport, Sarah watched as space itself seemed to bend. "Faster than light jump in 3, 2, 1. Patil counted down. In a flash of light, the Prometheus vanished from its stationary orbit, reappearing moments later at the edge of the solar system. Cheers erupted throughout the ship, human and alien voices raised together in triumph. They had just broken another barrier, taking one more step towards unraveling the mysteries of the universe. As the Prometheus made its way back to its original position, Sarah took a moment to reflect. The galaxy had changed, yes, but so had humanity. They had emerged from hiding, faced their fears of repeating past mistakes, and chosen to use their power to protect and uplift rather than dominate. The future was uncertain, filled with both wonders and dangers yet to be discovered. But Sarah felt confident that together, this new galactic community could face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the Prometheus settled back into orbit, Sarah addressed her crew. Her voice carried to every corner of the massive ship and broadcast to their allies across the stars. "1 year ago, we awoke from a long slumber, ready to face a threat to all life in the galaxy. Today we embark on a new journey, not just to explore the unknown, but to forge a future where all sentient beings can thrive together. The road ahead may be long and sometimes difficult, but I can think of no better companions for this journey than all of you. Together, we'll write the next chapter of galactic history." As her words echoed across the stars, the Prometheus's engines hummed to life once more. The great ship, once dismissed as a useless relic, now led a fleet of vessels from a dozen worlds, ready to face the unknown. The age of isolation was over. The new galactic order had begun, with humanity and its newfound allies united in their quest for knowledge, peace, and a brighter future for all.